Alright, I'm Evan Hirsch. I'm Luke Darian, and our project is on biological solar cells.
Okay, so basically, biological solar cells are solar cells often used in solar panels. However, instead of using silicon-based ones that with photovoltaic cells, we are using bacteria or algae in using the natural process of photosynthesis, taking the products of that and converting it into electricity. It has the potential to produce completely clean energy. And as organisms are, they can self-repair, self-assemble, they reproduce, more are made, some die, but they're replaced. But the issue with this right now is that they don't produce enough energy to be totally efficient, so it's still kind of a work in progress.
So general of how they work, so you'll put oxygenated photosynthetic biological material inside the anodic half cell of the solar cell. And this will photosynthesize and create water with the water, and it will create oxygen in the cell, and then the extra electrons produced from creating water to oxygen will be used in order to create electricity in an outside circuit.
So obviously we aren't the first people to think about this. This is like our idea isn't like totally new. We're just thinking about improvements. So so far there have only been like 2 places that have actually done anything about this. There's Birmingham University. They used cyanobacteria. I'm not going to even try to pronounce those names. They generated 5.59 microwatts, which is the most efficient it's the most power that has been produced from a biological solar cell, and that's the panel that they use right there. That is using cyanobacteria. And
What
then
is the cyanobacteria in there? What do they put?
in these little things here. And then at Michigan International, or for MIT, the Center for Bits and Atoms, this guy named Merchant, he basically created a nanowire forest. It was kind of like that, but there wasn't a picture provided. It was kind of like that, only instead of having it kind of empty like that, he used, I don't remember what they were exactly made out of, but he had all these nanowires all the way through, and so not only would they support the cells, they would, and when I say support I mean like structurally, they would also attach and kind of any excess stuff, any excess electrons produced from photosynthesis, they would kind of channel it into the actual panel.
And part of the nanowire forest was made out of zinc oxide, I think.
It was zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, which is often used in sunscreens.
Yeah. So our general hypothesis and objective, we just wanted to create a more efficient biological solar panel without using silicon and just using the biological solar cells. And we had a plan. We had multiple ideas on how to do this. We ended up going with next slide. With carbon nanotubes in order to help us with conducting electrons over. They'll be used for outside transfer of the electricity in the outside circuit, and we're choosing carbon nanotubes because they're very good at transferring electrons.
Some of the potential companies, like energy companies like Exxon or BP, so the renewable energy companies like Clean Power Investor, Aleo Solar, and of course everyone like you guys, because everyday people can use solar panels. And that's a picture of an old guy. Thumbs up.
Okay.
And then the resources.
All right. Questions? Right.
If you have these bacteria going through photosynthesis, where do the extra electrons usually go if they're not?
Obviously they'll get used in the circuit, and then they'll get recycled back into the water with the extra hydrogen, and that's also released in the process.
You're talking about how is it in the normal or in there?
No, in
right.
the-
Okay. My concern with that is, so you have that little, what is it made of and where, so that's very small. And so your cyanobacteria can't live, you have to have nutrients and water and
Yeah.
so are you gonna like produce new cyanobacteria like every week? I mean, how is that gonna go? Because remember, they need oxygen. So you're gonna have is that open where oxygen, pores for oxygen? So,
I mean.
not oxygen, carbon dioxide, right? They need
Yeah.
carbon dioxide,
The
yeah.
the process is automatic, they will automatically reproduce and die off and create more, and just, the cyanobacteria will. e-
But they will have waste products there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
waste-
so what's the turnover? I mean, those are the kind of things I think that you have to, because it's like you are producing your own bioreactor there. You have a little bioreactor that actually supports the life of the cells there. And that I think is the challenge, right? Is how are you gonna maintain the life of these cyanobacteria without cooking them with light? Because it's very small, right? You have very small amount,
Yes.
and then you put it on put it on the roof, for example, right? Very small amount of water, and then you've got your cells there. They're gonna have an overdose of photosynthesis. And it's actually a bad idea for plants. That's usually what kills plants a lot, when you have too much sunlight. Because then they will have to resort into photosystem, a lot of the photosystem, and get all your water. It's like you're really toasting your cells, right, in the process. That's the part that I'm worried, how is that gonna go with actual, production? And where is the nanotube gonna go?
The outside side. It's, we
So
did
you
some
have your little container of your bacteria, and where is the release?
So we did research and we found out that carbon nanotubes are very good at transferring electrons. So
Right, and I know that if it's, from a metal to a metal,
Mhm.
it's easy. But this is water source electron.
Yeah.
So from your water escape of electrons from during photosynthesis, right, which usually is captured in the plant system. Now you are putting it from a natural system to a metal, the two. That's the part how is that gonna translate in terms of electrical conduction? Do you have, is there anything that because that is already done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so have you looked into that, how exactly
I
that
mean,
happens?
there's still the metal for the actual conduction. We're just
Uh-huh.
using carbon nanotubes in order to actually transfer the electrons instead of pure metal. And that's just because, again, the transfer is easier, and we suspect that we'll be able to have more wattage when we do it that way.
Okay, so my suggestion is so what's your final output on this? What do you guys expect to actually come up at the end? Are you gonna have a model, are you gonna have a design, are you gonna have, what's the final output probably?
Well, something like that, like,
Because you're innovating somebody's work, right? You're changing something out of what they're doing. So I suggest you need to have a really good outlay or layout of how exactly they did and how you replace that thing that they have, and show this is going to be more efficient because the carbon nanotube will have this efficiency percent, whereas this one is only this percent, theoretically, right? But that I think is the best way to go if you pursue with that, as far as, because you're really having a design. This is a design, so make sure that you show that design, I think, in the process, right?
And I guess following up on what Dr. Horton is saying, you probably need to think about, you mentioned two things that were like red flags. The first thing was that the amount of energy produced by the system is significantly less than maybe other options. So you need to look at the other options and say, okay, if we're going to go through the process of developing this, what is our final output going to be? How cost effective is it going to be to do that? And that may help you in the development of, because this is not going to be a one-stage process.
No.
I don't think it's ever going to end up being that. You're going to have a growth stage, you're going to have a harvest stage, and you may have an output stage for the biological remnants that are left from, so you're going to have like a waste stage. And so you have to think about how much is it gonna cost to grow these? What are the raw materials involved in the harvesting? And then what's involved in the disposal of the waste? And develop a model around that, and then compare it to other models like algal fuel, that they're doing out
It's
there.
a cyanobacteria, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's a very good, project to start with. You just have to make sure that you itemize those so that, because solar panels and all, there's a lot of rejection on the idea because it's so expensive and, and once you put in front already that, okay, this will actually only give me 0.5% of electricity, whereas the other options will give me, 95%. So your audience is immediately going to say, why are you even thinking about that? So, but if you can give them in your design that, even if we only have this, but this is in the long run gonna cost us better because of, right? Not having pollution or whatnot, you're gonna incorporate all of that in the design. So.
but
So
I
thank
do
you.
wanna say, I love your passion for renewability and sustainability.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a good project, and
Mhm.
that's why we're so eager to see you guys do it right.
You just have to put it in a design again to convince your audience more, and not just another solar panel, whatever. Because it's very good concept, right? Thank you.